Hello and welcome to my show Indus Cuisine. I'm your chef Basim Akhund, back with another new episode from the heart of Pakistan. Today's recipe is very interesting. It's called KALEJI Masala. What is kaleji? Kaleji means liver. Masala means all the spices we'll be adding to the recipe. This recipe was invented, you could say, since Islam as a religion came to Pakistan, and we started observing Eid, which is our official Islamic holiday. In the Eid, what do? We give an animal in the name of God, we sacrifice it, and then the first thing that people in Pakistan cook from that animal is the liver. But this recipe transformed over the past years. Why? Because goat liver is not very easily available and people started consuming chicken liver. So we're making this recipe, which is very interesting, very delicious, and we'll be using the chicken's heart in it also. So what are the ingredients of this recipe? You need clarified butter. Remember, for this recipe you will and you must use clarified butter because the flavor of that will go really nicely with this. You might be thinking that this recipe might have this distinct flavor. You could also say a smell to it, but no, it won't. Why? Because I'll tell you what to do and how to go about it. Then you need some salt, you need some bay leaves, you need some ginger, garlic, green chilies, you need some yogurt, you need some red chili powder, you need some cinnamon sticks, you need coriander powder, cumin powder, and you need some garam masala. With that you need some haldi. Haldi is also known as turmeric in English, and you need some black peppercorn. In vegetables you will be needing around 4 to 5 tomatoes, 2 onions, and just some coriander leaves. And in the end you need some chicken liver with some heart, which is around half a kg. I'll be using this towards the end, not right now, so I'll keep it on the side, at the back you could say, and we shall start preparing for this recipe. This recipe will be made in a pan, and the pan will be kept on heat, and once it comes to heat we'll add a few ingredients. For this recipe you need to finely chop the onions, which I shall, and do not make them too brown, just make them light brown. And we shall pick up a knife and we shall just finely chop them quickly. Okay, I won't chop them really fine, so I can leave like a texture of the onion in the food. So let's say about this much. That's it. Take the root on the side and always clean your blade like this and then move forward. What will happen is you'll get a nice cut and then you can continue cooking. Quick and easy, delicious. And the fun part is, if you talk about the city of Karachi, the city of Lahore, Peshawar, Islamabad, or any other city in Pakistan, this is one recipe which is famous for being one of the most delicious street foods over here. Personally, I started cooking this recipe when my grandmother taught me when I was around 12 years old. This was the easiest form of thing I could cook back in the day. But when I was a kid, I never used so many ingredients. I just used whatever was available in the house. But as I grew old and I learned from people cooking this across Pakistan, I got to know that this recipe has a lot of things to it. Okay, so first what you'll do is you have a lot of clarified butter, but you won't add all of it. You'll just add around 40% of it right now, and then you'll add the remaining later. Now you might be thinking, why will I add the remaining later? It's because when you add the liver in it, you want the liver to fry. Always remember, whenever you're using chicken liver, you must wash it thoroughly. You must take out all the veins. Obviously I can't teach you how to wash it, but if your butcher doesn't wash it for you, bring it home, wash it properly, and then use it. Okay, melt the clarified butter properly first. The pan has come to heat, so what I'll do is I'll add the onions to it. I shall cook the onions till it's just about light brown, and then I shall add the other ingredients. Okay, so first the onion needs to be cooked very nicely. Add around a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, not much, so that the moisture comes out. Tilt it and start mixing it. I want the clarified butter to melt as we go. So just break it into small pieces and move it on the side. It's done. Increase the heat to full and start mixing it. Mix it up properly and just spread it out and place the lid on top. Place the lid and let it cook on medium heat and let it get light brown. So I'll just put it down to medium just kind of clean my hands, clean the board on the side, and then we shall continue. Now you need tomatoes for this recipe, so what I'll do is I'll take 4 tomatoes and I'll slice them. So first the eye of the tomato goes out and you place them on the board in front of you and throw it on the side. This is done. Cut it from between and just slice it like this. You don't need to finely slice it. Why? Because we want the tomatoes texture in this recipe and we shall fry it. Remember this tomato will be fried to perfection so that the flavor is coming out properly. So I'm just preparing all the ingredients and I'll keep it on the board and then I'll tell you what to do. So when the tomato is done, the next thing is you need to use the garlic. But when I talk about garlic for this recipe, I do not mean to shred it. We shall finely slice it. Okay, as you can see, the onions are nicely translucent. Now they shall start changing color. So I'll just reduce the heat to medium and I'll pick up the garlic pieces. Transfer the garlic pieces on the board, pick up a paring knife and finely slice them. Because it's a small ingredient, I'll use the paring knife. Finely slice them. Why? Because I want the garlic to get nice brown and crispy when I'm frying it in the clarified butter with the onions. Remember that. Just finely slice them. And as you can see, when the ingredient is small, if the knife is also small, you get a better, you could say, handling, and you get a proper fine texture and a cut. Okay, this is done. Now what I'll do is I'll add the garlic so that the garlic starts frying with the butter in it. Mix it up. Pick up a spatula, just press it down, place it in and let it fry. Okay, now what are the other ingredients you need to fry right now? First we shall add the bay leaf. Place it on the clarified butter so that it gets a chance to fry. I'm just kind of pushing it slowly inside and let it come. Let the aroma come out. Then you need some black cardamoms, which I'll put over here. And then you need some ginger. Okay, so till the time this is frying, do not give it a lid, because if you give it a lid, what will happen is the moisture is going to stay inside. It won't get brown and you won't get that texture. I shall just take half of it right now. Keep the half for later and pick up the shredder. Shred it properly, nicely, put the knife on the side and add this to the pan. Why? Because I want the flavor of the ginger to be passed in the onion. Okay, shake it. You can see none of it over here and just toss it in. This goes in, mix it up. As you can see, the onions are quickly turning into light brown. Remember, the time it takes for it to get translucent is a bit more, but once you see that light brown circle on the outer side of the onion, it will just take a few seconds to get completely brown. Before that, you need to stop the cooking. Why? Because you need to bring the temperature down of the pan. So keep mixing it. When you mix it, air passes through and the temperature of the pan comes down also. This is done. Now what I'll do is I'll add the tomatoes in it. I'll add the tomatoes and I'll let it fry. Why? Because I want the tomatoes to get nice, soft in the clarified butter. So add it over here and cook it till they break down completely. This is done. Shake it up, mix it. Add around a pinch of salt. And now take a spatula and press them so that each piece of the tomato gets heat individually. This is done. Once you've placed the tomatoes properly on the base, as you can see, they're getting heat individually. What will happen is the tomatoes will fry, they will start breaking down and you'll get that perfect texture that you need. So when this will fry, what we'll do on the other hand is we'll just pick up some green chilies. For this recipe, do not chop the green chilies, we need the heat. This green chili is a bit broken, I'm going to throw it in the dustbin. Just cut it from between like a flower and keep the stick on for this recipe. This is how people cook this recipe with the stick on. Why? Because I'm teaching you how it's done like the street food of Pakistan. Cut it and now place these green chilies on top. So now till the time this is cooking, what we'll do is we'll go for a short break, and once we're back, I'll let you know what to do next. Keep watching Indus Cuisine. Welcome back. You're watching Indus Cuisine and I'm your chef, Basim Akhund. During the break, I did nothing. I just waited for you, and the tomatoes have nicely broken down. Now what we'll do is we'll pick up a spatula. The end part where it's a bit curving, you should start pressing it down. I want it to convert into a nice paste. You can see the oil is still there. It's frying the tomatoes. The flavors are nicely amalgamated. And we'll mix it now. The tomatoes they must break down. You want this nice mushy texture, remember that. And now, once it's done, we shall take the lid off and we shall let it cook on medium heat so that the remaining water also evaporates. Okay, so medium heat now, and let it cook till the oil separates completely. So till the time that's happening, what we'll do is we'll pick up a ginger, we'll take the paring knife, and we shall cut it into nice thin slices. So just cut it like this, and now go close as you can. This is done. I always keep an eye contact when I'm chopping. Why? Because it's better to avoid cutting your hand rather than just looking everywhere around and not being careful and hurting yourself. This is done. Keep this on the side, just mix it up, and now add half of it in the pan. The remaining again goes over here. Mix it up and let this cook. So now till the time this is cooking, what we'll do is we'll give it a lid, reduce the heat to really low, and now get ready with the liver. So take the board back. You need a red board, remember that, and bring it over here. The board is clean. We pick up the liver and we cut it through. Okay, so the liver looks a little slimy and slippery, but that's how God has made it. I shall show you what to do next, but remember one thing, you need to separate the heart and the liver. So the heart goes on one side, this is the chicken heart, and it shall not be added to the recipe directly, remember that. Okay, once the heart is done, so first what you'll do is you'll prepare the heart. You'll pick up your knife, cut it halfway through. Do not cut it into pieces, you just need to open it up. Why am I opening it up? I'll tell you once I've done all of the hearts together. Okay, so the heart basically is something that pumps blood in the body. For animals, for human beings, for everyone, it's the same. What happens is when the animal is slaughtered for meat, some of the blood stays in the heart. When you cut it, you will pick it up and you'll rinse it off once you sliced it so that the remaining blood inside the organ goes out. Some people don't, that's one thing, but I prefer cleaning it to the core. Okay, this is done. Just put it in your hand, rinse it, and when it's done, bring it and put it in the masala. Let it cook, do not mix it. I want it to fry right now. I'm going to rinse my hands once more. And now we shall commence. Okay, so now what you need is you need to cut the liver. So there are two forms of this recipe. The first form is people make it into pieces. The second form is people completely mince the liver down. But what I'll do is I'll teach you how it's done mostly in Pakistan. So every piece of liver is sliced or cut roughly. Why? Because when it cooks, it will start breaking down. Remember that. The liver needs to be washed thoroughly. Please remember this. Once it's washed thoroughly, you will cook it. You will not just pass it through water. You will rinse it at least, you could say, 6 to 7 times. And if you have more time, soak it in water and then start washing it. This is done. You want the liver to be separated. It shouldn't be sticking to each other. Remember that. And just pass the knife once more. This is done. Now what I'll do is I'll transfer all of this to the pan. Okay, first I'll transfer it, then I'll rinse my hands, and then I'll keep this bowl really far away from everything else. Okay, so just pick it up and transfer it. Pick it up and transfer it. What I'm doing is I'm putting it on a side. I'm not mixing it right now. And the reason behind it is I'll let you know. This is done. I'm going to pick the board up, rinse my knife thoroughly and bring it back then. This is done. Keep the knife here, bring back the vegetable board and just dry your hands out once. Okay, now what you need to do is you need to start adding the spices. First we'll add the cinnamon sticks. The red chili powder is a very important part of this recipe because the spice in the red chili makes it better. Then you'll add the cumin powder, the coriander powder, wherever you see the oil. And for this recipe, the garam masala goes in the end. So I'll keep all of this over here. And now we'll add the turmeric, also known as haldi in our own local language. Start mixing it. Do not mix it in the kaleji, just mix it in the oil over here. Increase the heat to full. And now mix it up. Add around a quarter teaspoon of more salt and mix it up. As you can see, the kaleji is changing its color. And now I want it to fry just a bit, so I'll pick the remaining clarified butter, toss it in and let it melt slowly. This will bring out the flavor. And as you can see, the puddle of clarified butter is in between. I shall mix it now. Keep this on the side. This is done. Now you shall add the black peppercorn. Mix it. And just add half a cup of water. Add the remaining ginger. Mix it up. Give it a lid. Submerge all the liver in. It's spicy. And reduce the heat to medium-low. Now cook this for at least 6 minutes, and once it's done, I'll let you know what to do next. So I gave the lid for around 5 to 6 minutes. As you can see, the oil has come out on the side, but in the center there's still water. So what I'll do is, I'll mix it up again. Why? Because when the water will be mixed back in the curry, in the liver, what will happen is it will start sweating around again. It's a bit complicated, but I must say, God, it's delicious. Okay, so when this is done, what you'll do is you'll add some garam masala, spread it out equally. And for this recipe, I'm just adding a little bit of garam masala so that it doesn't overpower the other ingredients I've added. Some recipes, yes, you've seen that I add a lot of garam masala, but in some recipes, you must just add enough for it to cook properly, and that is it for the little flavor hint you need. As you can see, almost the water has evaporated. Now what you'll do is you shall add the yogurt. Okay, the yogurt goes in, but you shall cut it first. This is done. Add the yogurt on the corners. And slowly and gradually mix it, but do not make it a mess. You want it to mix slowly so that the clarified butter gives it a chance to fry nicely. So just place it. And why have I added towards the edges? Why? Because the oil will always come out towards the edges first, and then it will come out in the center. Remember that. So as you can see, the water is mixing properly, and the other thing is that the yogurt also has moisture. You know how cottage cheese is made? You take a fine linen cloth, you place some yogurt in it, and then you let it hang throughout the night. You'll see the whey water down in a bowl, and the remaining behind would be the cottage cheese. So as you can see, when you add yogurt to a pan, it starts splitting, right? And you see these small pieces, that's actually the cottage cheese residue. But obviously we're not adding cottage cheese, we're adding yogurt, so we want the water in the yogurt to evaporate properly. Okay, so now it has mixed nicely. Just move it around. And now you can see that this thing is a little creamy in texture. I do not want that creaminess to be there like too much. So what I'll do is I'll mix it up properly again. Why? Because now I want all the flavor to come out. You want some coriander. I'll take around this much, finely chop it, and then add it to the pan. You want the sticks also for this recipe because I want the strong flavor. This much is enough. Keep this on the side. This is done. Now add the coriander. Mix it up. And as you can see on the edges, the oil or the clarified butter we added is out. And this beautiful, luxurious recipe comes to an end. Now I'll dish it out and I'll show you the final result of the recipe. So as you can see, today's recipe is ready. It was very easy, quick, or you could also say it's not easy. But if you follow all the steps I've told you, I can bet on it you'll do a very good job. It seems a different thing to eat, liver. Some people do not eat it, but if you are a bit experimentative about eating different forms of meat or different forms of things that are available in this world, I bet you'll like this a lot. It's a very nicely balanced, flavorful recipe with a little bit of yogurt in the end. What does yogurt do? I added some spices in it. The yogurt will just bring the hotness or the spice level down, and it will balance it nicely. You can see the clarified butter coming out. This is all the flavor. In Pakistan, people use naan bread, or you can say thin roti with it, and they just, eat it up. You could serve some onions freshly chopped with it, or a salad of your own choice, which includes tomatoes, onions, cucumbers, and all the fresh vegetables that are available in the market. Quick and easy, ready to eat. Recipe for today is done. And if you want to learn any other new recipes, you can go to our official YouTube page of Indus News, and you can watch all our episodes over there, and you can leave a comment over there of what you want to learn, and I will try my best to teach you. I'll see you in another episode. Take care of yourself. Happy people. Bye-bye.